stuff, man. I'm into it. We couldn't do this with a regular show, could we? This is the magic of film. You can go back and do it again. Okay, here we go. This is the real thing.
Hi, I'm Billy Joel. You guys remember me?
Billy Joel, completely retold.
What are all these people looking at?
You might have heard that I'm this temperamental artist.
Let me do my show, for Christ's sake!
Not now, Mario!
Wonder Woman with your skin so bare.
How come they're down there and I'm up here?
Hey, Billy, how you doing?
Anthony works in the grocery store, saving his pennies for someday. Mama Leone left a note in the door. She said, Sonny, move out to the country.
Billy Joel, completely retold.
I forgot the words. I'll have to make up some new ones.
Du Square ein Berliner ist der Glocken mit der Blocken schmocker Donke eingeschenen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Joel.
Billy Joel! Billy Joel!
Billy Joel!
Billy Joel!
Billy Joel! From Billy Joel!
Welcome to Billy Joel Completely Retold, the live stream, where it's always 9 o'clock on a Saturday. Now, we got something special for you today. We wanted to do a little summary of the last MSG concert that was back on January 13th the other day. I went on YouTube, found some clips and stuff like that. But added extra bonus, I've got a co-host for this show. All right, and he was there, and he was right down front as usual. So why don't you all give a big retold warm welcome to Mr. Eric Felon. Hi, Eric. How you doing?
Doing well, Mike. How you doing?
All right, sounds good. So what I wanted to do with this show is basically called Residency Retold. Hopefully we can do this after other shows. It was MSG number 86. In the residency, and then all-time sold out at Madison Square Garden, 133. Wow. So just want to start out some announcements for you guys that are wondering what's going on in the Billy world. We've got a couple recent birthdays. Since this is our first episode doing stuff like this, we can go back a little bit. December 29th, Alexa Ray Joel's birthday. So if you were looking for when that was. Also, Dave Rosenthal was actually born on January 1st, and then Crystal's birthday was back on the 5th. So in the future, I'm going to look ahead so you guys can say happy birthday to them next time it comes along. Also, some shows coming up. Madison Square Garden number 92 was announced. That's going to be on July 24th. Get your tickets for that. And then one I'm looking forward to, Billy is teaming up with Stevie Nicks. What do you think of that, Eric? Are you a fan of Stevie? Eric, you listen?
I'm around, but I'm excited to see them both.
Okay. Well, they're having a show, Baltimore, Maryland, on October 7th, and then they're coming to Minneapolis on November 7th, and that's my territory. So I can't wait to see that show. So upcoming shows that tickets are already on sale. January 27th, Billy's playing Hollywood, Florida at the Hard Rock Live down there. That's coming up this Friday, just a couple more days. He's also got shows. February 14th is going to be Madison Square Garden number 87. And then February 25th, he's head up to Niagara Falls, Ontario, at the Falls View Casino. I'm going to have Francisco Photoshop a picture of Billy in a barrel going over the waterfalls for that. All right. Also, if you hadn't heard, December's concert was canceled because Billy came down with a little virus. So hopefully you're not finding out just now. So, Eric, I wanted to talk to you because you and I had vastly different experiences when we went to see the Yankee Stadium concert being screened at movie theaters. I'm here in Minnesota. Closest location that was screening it for me was at the Mall of America, which is about 90 miles from where I live. So my friend and I trucked out, went up there. We're all excited to meet a whole bunch of Billy Joel fans, and I even took a picture of the theater once the show was getting started. This is what my theater looked like. As you could see, I had a private screening, just me and my friend. Some old guy walked in during the encore, but that was the only other person we saw. So it was kind of fun.
Was he sitting next to you, making love to his tonic and gin?
Yeah, you could say that.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Anyway, Eric had a little different experience. If we take a look at his theater, it looked more like this. And you saw it in Sag Harbor, right?
Yeah, well, that's two theaters. I saw the pre-screening at the Sag Harbor, but then the screening date, you know, I went to a local theater by me and saw it. And I know you only had a couple people in yours. I was fortunate enough that our theater was probably about half filled. I mean, it wasn't a huge theater, but it was nice. There was probably, I'm guessing, 30 people, 35 people in the theater. Probably could have fit maybe 60 people in the theater. So it was nice, you know.
And it was a New York crowd.
Better the experience,
or was it New York or New Jersey that you saw that?
That was in New Jersey. That was in Hazlitt. It was a theater in Hazlitt, New Jersey. It was,
and I heard you did get to see it out on Long Island. Out in Sag Harbor. Let's take a look at what your theater looked like. Oh, Pulitzer Prize winning photograph right there. I'm a little jealous.
Was some cool cat sitting right behind me over my right shoulder and looked a lot like the guy on the film. But you know,
yeah, he just ate all the popcorn. Oh, awesome! Well, I'm so glad you had fun. Any story you wanted to tell about that?
It was a good experience. You know, the one thing I noticed difference between the two different theaters, you know, watching it, you know, my first time around, that little theater, the Sag Harbor, was fully packed. There was like a limited number of seats, about 100 seats that were available for sale. You know, I think about a week or so before the screening, and you know, I hopped on that, grabbed a ticket, and with a couple of other friends, and we all went, and it was a great experience, fully packed, and of course, Billy was there, and some of the band members and some of the crew. It was a really nice treat. Got to say hello to them after the show, and what was really nice was being able to talk to, you know, John Small and Steve and some of the others and the editor about the making of the film and do some Q&A on that and what brought that. But the actual screening of the film was quite enjoyable because we all got into it. And it wasn't until the next time I saw the film at my theater on October 5th, I think it was, when it was released. And it was a different crowd, different group of people, not as, I mean, the people like Billy and his music obviously went, but they're all sitting in the seats. And I brought my family and we went to enjoy it and see it. And I didn't feel that same connection with the energy level. Like, at the Sag Harbor, people were swaying in their seats to the music on the screen. It was as if we were there, and maybe a part of it was the venue. That venue was really nice with the audio and the screen at Sag Harbor. But the one in Hazlitt, New Jersey, it was, and you know, I just felt a little more disconnected from the whole experience. And I'm sure there were others like yourself that only had a couple of people at their theaters, and I've heard stories that people they were the only ones in the theater. And I can only imagine, you're in the middle of, the middle of nowhere in the United States, and you don't have as much of a following as you do maybe in the New York area or something like that, but or some other metro area in Chicago or whatever. But I get it. And as I was mentioning to you earlier, it made me relate to a discussion I had with somebody about, if we won that $1 billion that was in the lotto. Somebody mentioned, one of my friends said, hey, I would buy a Billy concert just for the 20 of us, and we would just enjoy the Garden, and it would be just the 20 of us in the Garden watching Billy. And I thought to myself, how I don't know if I would really enjoy that. The whole experience that I enjoy when I go to the Garden to see Billy, or anywhere to see Billy, it's the whole energy of the crowd. If you don't have that crowd there, you don't get that energy, and you just don't feel it. Half the show is Billy, the other half is the audience. And if that other half ain't there, you're only getting 50% of the show. And at the Garden, you want to get those floor bouncing, you want to get the scream, the reverberation. When you go home and you go to sleep, you want to hear ringing in your ears, and you just want to have a smile on your face.
Awesome. So let's compare, because I grew up, of course, watching the original Yankee Stadium over and over again. Compared to the new edit, where they put in interview clips during the concert, and then the whole opening was completely open. I myself, I preferred the original. That I might just be biased because that's what I grew up in. But I miss that it's coming in. It reminds me of that when I was a kid, like Charlie Brown or something special was coming on CBS, and they'd have that. They'd have that logo. Totally just reminds me of that. I miss that. Having the interview clips during it kind of took away from the whole flow of the music. So, did you have an opinion on the new edit versus the old one?
Yeah, I have an opinion. It's not positive or negative. I mean, there's some positive, but then there's some negative, but not really. It's a different time, different period. I get it. The Yankee Stadium is what it is. Not the Yankee Stadium. The original film that was released in '91, I guess. That was MTV style. That was of that generation.
Yeah, the camera moved.
Fast action, the motion.
In fact, when people heard they were going to be redoing it, that's the main thing they were hoping was going to be different.
I liked that for what it was. It was the style. And people complained that, I didn't like those cuts, those fast cuts. But that was the cut of the day. It's like taking a Twilight Zone episode and colorizing it. You lose it all.
Yeah.
So, but that was that cut of the day. Now, if they just took, I was happy with that video, although it was only, regular NTSC, whatever, 640 resolution at the time that they released the video. Maybe DVD was a little higher, I'm not sure. But that was fine for the day. It never bothered me. I'm excited. I'm happy that they didn't just take that video and just redo it, rescan it in high def, and clean up the editing transitions, so you lose all that MTV style. They didn't do that. They just took a whole new approach. So that made it like a whole new show, and then it was more modernized, like a modern version of the show. And I actually kind of felt more submerged into the concert that way. And I think John or Steve, somebody mentioned that the perspective of the show was more less seeing of the audience and more of the band as if you were on stage.
Okay.
So that made me feel that I was right there, front row, watching the show at Yankee Stadium. And I actually did like that new cut a lot, just for that. One of my disappointments on it, though, is the sounds of different instruments. It felt like, I think some of the instruments were replaced with this AI, artificial intelligence, whatever they use in the recording studios now, replaced with different instruments to replace those sounds to bring them up. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it, but that's what it felt like. But it still sounded great. But I loved the original, the sound as well.
Well, and then they added in, was it Uptown Girl they added in? Was that the only new song that they added?
That was the extra song, and no, yeah, that was extra. But they also there was different lengths of some of the other songs at different time. Like some of the things extended longer. You got a little more intro. I think there was a little less intro in New York State of Mind. I think the original one had a little more preamble. I don't remember. I have to watch it again.
All right.
Yeah.
Here's what my favorite difference was for the first one compared to the second one. The second version had this picture I got here that you weren't able to see in the first one. This is my favorite. Hey! Eric got his own little dedication at the end. Was it during?
I had no idea that was going to stay in there. I'll be honest. Listen, I didn't know anybody.
And that wasn't the shot from the first one.
I wasn't involved in this. I'll tell you about the first one. I remember. We're walking around. What's that?
I was going to say in the original, it just shows the license plate up close. It doesn't show you at all. I didn't realize you had hair back then until I saw it.
Thanks. It was just a fast motion shot on the first one with that
That's right.
MTV style, so you didn't really get the full thing. But if you went like frame by frame and the VCR and the crappy resolution VCRs where you can catch my hair, but it was. Yeah, there was a little more heads and tail on that clip that they added in the second one. And again, I had no idea that was being added to the end credit outtakes or whatever.
Nice.
No idea at all. That was a surprise to me because I was in the beginning on the first one. And again, I had no idea. That was just a total Easter egg for me when I got the videotape back, 30 years ago. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I remember them filming me, but you just don't know what's going to happen with that film, end up on the editing room floor or whatever. So, it just was it was a nice.
And then
treat.
Didn't somebody point out at the Sag Harbor screening, to Billy that you were the license plate kid?
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody, I think, said something to him. I'm not sure.
Oh,
but I remember I did say to him, after the event was over, I didn't want to bother him with about music or Billy or anything like that, the whole thing. But I did, I wanted to ask him a question. I do have a bucket list item. And one of my bucket list items is just to go. I ride a motorcycle. He rides motorcycles, obviously a lot more than I ride. I have one. He's got like 100. But I always had this bucket list item of, if I could just go on a short ride with him on the motor, like I have a group of older guys that I ride with. They got Harleys and Hondas and everything. And, we go on all these different, places. We'll do a 200-mile ride in a day up to Vermont or somewhere. And, I'm not saying one of those rides, but to just go on like a 5-minute ride or something like that, with him so I said to him, I asked him, hey Billy, I would love to be able to have the chance to, join you on a motorcycle ride one day, and he's like, yeah, he was really cool about it. Yeah, I'm always around here. Sure. Yeah, that would be great. Something like that in this fun, tone or whatever. He likes bikes and stuff. And I kind of did a little joke lib. I said to him, I go, even if just, to ride a half a mile away. And
nice.
He gave me that look. He's like, yeah, I see where you're going. Like, I got you.
Bravo. If you did do the drive, you'd have to wear your Lords of 52nd Street jacket.
No.
Gosh. Well, next thing I wanted to talk about, not to bring the room down or anything, but pretty much everybody knows our friend Jack Scala passed away a couple months ago. Did you you got to see my the photograph collection I put up the other day, didn't you?
I did. That was a really nice collection of photos you put together. Some of them I recognized from the years of whatever being on Retold, and the one obviously at Tony and Sally's house. That was a nice time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, in fact, I went. He had 3 different Facebook accounts. I went looking through because he kept forgetting his password, and so I went looking and found a bunch off there. And then I just went through Retold, picked a bunch that I thought were neat. But just to immortalize here, I wanted to put a picture of Jack. That's with Mike at one of his big shot performances. And then I've got a picture. This was when I first got to meet him. This was at 2016 at Westbury. We got when we were seeing the Lords of 52nd Street.
Yeah,
that's where that was from. He originally joined Retold, and like right about the time they got inducted to the Music Hall of Fame. He showed up in Retold. He had followed a link from one of my videos. Kind of told everybody was like, "Yeah, sure you are. Yeah, hey, Captain, nice to meet you." But people, people in the Hass was like, "No, this is the guy. This is who was at all of the hassles at my house and all that." And so he was such an integral part of our group. He was always posting. He was always clicking liked, and from everyone that talks about him, I never heard, one mean thing. I got to spend a night with him when I came out in, 2018, and I did a location video for the River Dreams out in Connecticut. We went out to the bridge and all that stuff, and it was we had such fun that night. We raided the supermarket and got a bunch of hot dogs and stuff like that, and just had fun hanging out in the camper overnight. I got
and you brought me back a spike from the railroad track. I saw that.
That's right. Grab that. Here's the other. Oh, and then this. I thought this was really cool. It was just he passed away just a few days before a show at Madison Square Garden, and you posted this picture. You went up front, and I thought that was neat, and I wanted to put that in here too. And then as a follow-up story, his daughter met up with you, and
so when I first heard that Jack had passed, actually, John Brett I first got a text from John Brett. He goes, "I heard that Jack passed away," and he goes, "Is this true?" And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, it's like one of those, like, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah,
but
right.
Now I'm like freaking out, panicking, like, God, that really sucked. I'm just talking to him 4 days earlier, we were on the phone at night. We talk a lot on the phone. And so I'm like, all right, let me call Jack. How am I going to, I didn't see anything posted, but let me call Jack and see what the deal is. I made the phone call. First thing I heard was a female voice. And the first moment I had was like one of those movie shots, those cinema shots where they rack the focus, the zoom, and pull the camera out at the same time, so it looks like the whole wall is coming in on you. And that's what it felt like when I heard her voice, and I didn't know who she was at first. So I'm like, and she's like, "Who's this?" I'm like, "I'm looking for Jack." And who's this? And I didn't know who she was at the time. Okay. And, and she didn't know who I was calling Jack's phone, and she obviously, was a little careful trying to, who's calling Jack up. She was still trying to understand. She just had found out the day before that that was Jack's daughter, that her dad had passed, and then she went up to Amsterdam to take care of everything. And it was just very sad. So after a few calls, we started, she reached back out to me, and she realized who I, was in Jack's life and everything. She had read some of Jack's texts and things and stuff. But we started talking and becoming friends, and we talked a bit, and she was cleaning out Jack's house with Maureen DeSanto was helping her out, and then I think between some of the stuff, all of a sudden, she came across Jack's jersey, and I think talking with Maureen, the two of them decided and suggested, I think Maureen might have suggested, I'm not sure, and Becky, Jack's daughter, agreed, yeah, let's give it to Eric. I had no idea, and then all of a sudden I get the message from Becky saying, she wanted to bring me the not the jacket, the jersey.
Yeah, the jersey that Jack wore to every big shot, every concert.
Jack, everybody knows Jack is a big Yankees fan, especially number 7, Mickey Mantle, and I love Mickey Mantle. My son's a big Mickey Mantle fan. I'm a Yankee fan. I know some people think I'm a Mets fan because I wear that Shea jersey a lot, but I'm a Yankee fan. But yeah, so this is the jersey that that Jack wears a lot to a lot of the events. Big Shot, Billy Joel, Lords, he's worn it there. So, you know, I'm honoring this. I'm honoring Jack with this jersey. I'm going to take it to a couple of shows. We, a few of us, Jane, Sandy, Jake, my wife, we were at our little meetup restaurant before the last show in January. Was it the 13th or 14th? I forget.
Yeah, 13th.
And we met up for dinner. And one of the things that we did to honor Jack was every time Jack was always coming up to the Garden. He'd hang out with us, meet with us before the show, have dinner. Jack didn't really eat a full dinner. He would always order a plate of French fries. They had waffle fries here, and a Coke. And that's all he ordered. He was a very simple guy, really nice, and he was so sweet, but that's all. I mean, he didn't eat a lot or over-embellish in food, but that's all he wanted. So that night in January, a few weeks ago, we had an empty seat for him at the table. We prepared. We made sure we reserved enough seats plus an empty for Jack. And I had a plate. I had ordered a plate of fries and a Coke. And we placed it there. I'll send you the picture. I have that picture. Did I send it to you yet? I don't know.
No, I haven't seen that one. I haven't heard that story before.
All right. I'll send it to you right after we talk. But we had a plate of fries and the drink at his seat. And then I passed the plate around. We all took a fry. And we did a toast to Jack. And then we ate it. We ate the fry. And then we left the plate of fries there with the Coke for the rest of the evening. And some other people's... so Jeremy Nunez there and Dave Needland, and I had them share some fries on the plate, and it was nice. It just felt like Jack was there in spirit.
Oh, that's awesome! So, I do have the picture you sent me of his daughter and you've got the jersey on there. I just thought that was a cool shot, and I just wanted to show that. So holding up my fry. This one's for you, Jack. We're gonna miss you. All right. Well, cool. So what I wanted to do is just kind of a summary, look back at the concert for the people who weren't able to go, and memories for the people who were. So it was MSG 86. First clip we got, I found on YouTube this guy who was sitting up, I swear, it was the top row of the back of the arena, total nosebleed seat. But he posted this cool, it was originally an 8-minute video, of just clips from all the different songs. So I whittled it down to about a 2-minute clip. I'm going to have to start writing down credits. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but then I want to start mentioning names of where I get everything from. But for this time, I'm sorry. It's on YouTube. You can go look if you want to see what it's from. So this is just kind of introductory, a 2-minute clip, bunch of the songs that he performed. Did a couple rare ones, did a bunch of the standards that he does, and a couple surprises. And so I just want to show this clip right now. All right, so let's take a look at the set list that they did for this show, Eric, and just kind of let me know what you think of it compared to other ones. We've got, so opener was My Life, and then a standard second song is The Pressure. Then he goes way back, Everybody Loves You Now, Vienna, Zanzibar. He dropped Zanzibar for a while, but looks like it's coming back on. Innocent Man, Keeping the Faith. What was that?
He plays it off in Zanzibar. He doesn't really. He doesn't drop it that much.
Okay, well, good. Well, yeah, and it features Carl, so that's awesome. And then Keeping the Faith. That's kind of a rarity. People like that one.
Yeah.
And then Just the Way You Are. That hasn't been played too much. Don't ask me why. He's always playing that for his daughters. Then People Get Ready. That was for Jeff Beck, and that's a clip we'll play in a little bit here. Guitarist passed away recently. They actually did a couple songs of his in tribute. Say Goodbye to Hollywood, New Year's State of Mind, Moving Out, Entertainer. I like to say Entertainer's back in the set because of me. Back in 1999, do you remember they did an online survey? What song for the Old Shit Tour in 1998? They did a survey. What songs would you like to hear? And I made a post that said he should do the Entertainer just for the irony of saying, all the stuff. And it popped in the list, and it's been on there since. So I take credit for that. And he's got Allentown, Down Here, Strelexa, Always a Woman. These are kind of standards that he's including a lot of times. Now, fantasy, does he do sometimes a fantasy a lot? That one's kind of one of the optionals.
He did it before COVID. He did it. I remember him on and off.
The before times.
Before COVID, he was doing it at the Garden every now and then. I'm trying to remember. Everything becomes a blur after a while.
Yeah, staring at the same four walls. And then from this point on, it's kind of been the same every time. Only the Good, River Dreams. Difference is with River Dreams, they've started. Crystal, I know on her Facebook, took a survey of what song they should sing in the middle of River Dreams. And what had they been doing? Was it Dance to the Music, or what was the song they had been doing?
Well, before this song, now she was doing Dancing in the Street.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and then she did a thing. Well, it's time to change up the song, and she was taking suggestions. I don't know who suggested, River Deep, but wow.
Yeah, it's good, and that's actually one of the clips I'm going to include here. And then we've got featuring Mike on.
I mean, that's just an awesome song.
We got Nessa Dorma featuring Mike in the Italian restaurant, Piano Man. And then we go for the big final five. We Didn't Start the Fire, Uptown Girl, Still Rock and Roll, Big Shot. Again, Alexa comes out. Then where we usually end with You May Be Right, after that, in the middle they did Rock and Roll by Zeppelin. And then they actually ended the whole show with another Jeff Beck song with the Going Down. So
that was a treat because Billy... he ends the show. I don't remember any time during this tour where, his last set, his encore set of 4 or 5 songs, whatever it is, it's usually pretty standard.
Yeah.
And he ends it. And
it's a good showstopper.
And what was interesting, it's the whole audience is on fire, but he ends it, and it was on the set list, I'm sure, to end with that song, and the security guard was standing right in front of me, and I remember seeing him get up, it's oh, it's time. He got up, and he was getting ready to shuffle people out.
Oh, he figured it was over.
And the band was still playing, and I'm looking at him, and I had my camera going on my phone or whatever, and I'm like, wait, there's something. They're still jamming.
Yep.
They're going on. They're doing something else, and then that's when he was doing
in one of the videos on YouTube I saw, he's like, oh, I wish we would have practiced this a little more. And then they got it going on it.
I think it's best when it's unrehearsed and it's more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah. So, you're talking about security guards. Have they started the audience release again, or no? It didn't look like it from the videos. No.
Yeah, I think the COVID just killed that whole thing where usually somewhere in the middle of the show,
usually around Allentown, 10th song down.
The first couple of rows of people sitting, he would allow to kind of, they call it the rush, allow to rush up to the stage. Rush, they just kind of walk the way up. But, just to really, and everybody's dancing in there and enjoying it. And it was great. I missed that from pre-COVID because a bunch of our friends, you and I both know that we happen to be in the area. We get up to that dancing area, and we were it was like a party, just dancing to his music, having a good time, So when I try when I can is to try to get aisle seats when I get tickets so I could dance and move around, because I hate being squeezed into some you can't dance and then somebody's yelling at you to sit down or whatever, and then.
Well, going back to your $1 million, where you said, "Oh, if I could just have a concert, me and my 20 friends, and you'd miss the crowd." So if I had $1 million, I'd have a sold out crowd with me and my friends down front. That would be the perfect show, because then you get best of both worlds. All right,
and I would leave the 2 seats next to the empty so I can move around and dance.
So somebody from back can sneak down and stand next to you. There you go. That's awesome. All right, so in Retold, recently somebody posted, what do you like for the best opener? You can see here he opened with My Life. How about, Eric, what do you like as an opening song, whether or not he does that song anymore?
Honestly, what would really, of the songs that he always plays.
If you had $1 million and could get him to open with any song.
Yes, I'm going to give you my 2 choices. So the ones that I know he realistically opens with in his rotation of openers is always 2017.
Yep.
That's the song for me. That just gets me every time, chills up my spine through all the history and events around that song. But if I had a choice and I could pick a song to really freaking take me back and blow my mind, it has to be Somewhere Along the Line. I miss that song.
There you go.
That song is so underrated. I don't know why that song is buried in the catalog somewhere. And
too many radio hits have come on since that album. So what?
I would really love if he brought back Somewhere Along the Line.
That was like his the standard second song for years, up from when it came out, Piano Man, up to The Stranger. That was always his second song. And I've been listening. I've been listening to some like the CW Post concert and Bottom Line, and just Liberty's part is so complicated on that song if you just listen to the drums. But yeah, I agree with you. Miami. Oh, go ahead.
Do you know who I have to give a shout out to? There's one person that does a solid with that song, and he knows I love that song, and he does it as the second song too, just as Billy usually does in the past. It's Christian Macchio with his Captain Jack band. Speaking of Captain Jack, right? If anybody out there has a chance to see him perform, he's such a treat, such a great guy, and puts on an awesome show, him and the entire band. And he plays the deep tracks that, you never really get to hear. And that song. And he knows when I'm there, he plays that song.
And I just real quick, because him and I have discussed this, it's Macchio. He's so mad at his second cousin Ralph Macchio.
Yeah. I know. Now you can call me up and
so it's Macchio, just so everybody knows that.
You know what? That's my wife's fault. I'm going to throw her under the bus. She thought when we first saw him years ago, like, is he related to Ralph Macchio? I don't think so.
He says he is. It's a distant, like, second cousin, but, I'm Mr. Gullible, so I'll believe anything he says.
Right, you're right.
But, and going back, you said Miami. I love Miami as an opener, too. One thing I wish I could ever hear, and I don't know if he's done it, since Songs in the Attic, was starting with that song with the Air Raid Sirens. Have you ever seen the Sirens live or no?
No, just
I don't think he just starts with
Songs in the Attic album. I've never had the Sirens. Billy doesn't do a lot of those little things that he nuances in this music anymore live that he would do back in the day. But yeah, and I wonder what prompted him back, like in that show, back in the early '80s, to do that. Yeah, and that was from one of the, was that the Hammond? I don't know what organ he used for that, but I'm sure David could whip it up on his keyboard if he wanted to.
Patch it in.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I love that. Songs in the Attic is by far one of my favorite live CDs, and by live, I know that they've really done a lot of changes and stuff to it in the studio, but it's such a great listen, especially of his older stuff. Speaking of older stuff, he did play a rarity. At least I think it's rarity. He hasn't played it too much. He did Say Goodbye to Hollywood, and I've got a clip of that. So let's give that a listen real quick. Yeah. All right, that song is just, to me, is full of Easter eggs. You know, I try and figure what's it even about. I know it was done in the style as kind of a tribute to Ronnie Spector. It kind of sounds like "Be My Baby," you know, especially with the boom, 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 cha at the beginning. I listened to the verses. There's the verse about what? Bobby, and the verse about Johnny. I've heard people say he got those from the old, I think it's a De Niro movie called Mean Streets, which is done in New York back in the 70s. But those first two verses, I don't really understand what they're talking about. And then he comes in with some like hard life truths, like in the bridge, and then the final verse where he's talking about friends in and out of your life. I can't really make much sense of the song, but I love that. I love in the studio how he's yelling at Liberty DeVito at the end of the song. Hey, DeVito, where are you going? Just stuff like that. And it's just one of those bombastic, it's an arena song for Songs in the Attic. They recorded it, I think it was Milwaukee, and just those beginning drums just echo so big, and I like it. The studio one is good, but I know he's trying to sound like Ronnie Spector with the castanets, but I like it better the way they did it on Attic. So,
do you know what makes half that song?
What do you mean?
Half that song is the energy sound you hear of the audience roaring.
Yes, there you go.
You know, when in the recording, you know, in the cut, Jim, you know, mixed. He ramps up the sound of. I mean, all the audience recording. Obviously, they ramped up the sound of the audience cheering. You know, for a lot of that. But it really just made you feel. I used to listen to that album a lot in high school and grade school on my little Walkman.
And you get the goosebumps and the hair raising up. Yeah.
Just hearing the energy made me feel like I was at it. And I wasn't going to many cons. My first was in '84, but like it wasn't like I can go every month back then. They didn't have that every month, and wouldn't be able to afford it. But the energy, like that, you just felt. You felt like you were there in the audience, and if you stripped that audience sound from that,
then you get the studio recording.
And that just brings you back to what I mentioned earlier. If I had an opportunity to just sit in a garden with just 20 of my closest friends and nobody else there to listen to Billy versus the whole freaking audience of Billy fans, of 19,000 fans, no, I would choose the 19,000 fans. I want that floor to shake. I want my hair to raise. I want the energy in.
As long as you're up front, right?
I don't sit up. Listen, people think that I'm always sitting up front. I get lucky, and my wife or a friend of mine gets a ticket ferry upgrade or something like that, and that's how we got up there in January with one of the ticket ferries. But I don't buy the seats up there. I don't, get up there through anybody from Billy or anything like that. There's none of that.
It's all just luck.
I sit in the 100 level a lot too. Just nobody shares my videos of my pictures of that out there. So, the prior show I was 2 shows before that. I was in the I think it was in 108, and then in February I'll be in 110.
Yeah, and it's just as enjoyable.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it no matter where I sit. I like 109 a lot. That's one of my favorites because, I'm close enough and I can hear. I also like sitting in 112. I sit there a lot too. If you get the best part of one of the best seats, and people realize they think the rear of the stage, at the back of the stage, it sucks. No,
it's great.
You get row 6 in 112, which is the first row of 112. I love that seat. You stand up and you rock out. You are literally like 20 feet from Billy, and you can you look down, you see everybody.
You can see them when they're coming in. Yep.
Still everybody going out from their exit up to the stage. But when the show's on, and you feel like you're there on stage with Billy playing and performing, and the whole band's looking forward. I'm looking forward. Billy's not looking forward. He's at the piano because the piano's positioned sideways usually. So you get to see Billy just fine from 112. It's one of the best seats in the house that people don't realize. It's only the last 4 or 5 songs that, you're just kind of looking at Billy's, back for a few songs. But it's fine. I have a great time from 112.
Yeah, I had a couple behind the stage too, where I was like right down front. And I can remember, waving to Mike during the show. This 2017 in St. Paul, and he could recognize. I wear that piano tie and stuff, just kind of stick out in the middle of the song. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" It's you're close. It's nice. All right, so moving on. Next clip I got was a special guest he had come out for this one. And this is New York State of Mind, done with this special guest.
This ain't Mountain Turnstiles. And it goes like this.
I'm in New York State of Mind. I've seen all the movie stars in their fancy cars and their limousines. I've been high in the Rockies, in the Greens. I know what I need, and I don't want to waste more time. Just in a New York State of Mind. It was so easy living day by day, out of touch with the rhythm blues. But now I need a little guarantee that through your time it may comes down to reality, and it's fine with me, 'cause I've let it slide. I don't care if it's Chinatown or Riverside. I don't have any reasons left them all behind. Just in New York. It was so easy every day by day, out of touch with my blues. But now I need a guarantee that New York Post It's fine with me, 'cause I know it's life. I don't care if it's Chinatown or Riverside. I don't have any reasons that all behind. Just in New York, stay alive. Cause I'm in a I don't know.
You're next.
I'm in a New York.
Straight up.
Love you, honey.
Give it up for my pops, Billy Joel. So welcome along. 1, 2, 3.
All right, so that was Alexa Ray Joel singing along with Billy on New York State of Mind. Off the official Billy Facebook, they had some pictures here. I just thought these would be cool to show. So that's Give Him a Hug, and then we've got here during the song, and then they had a good one. Just some good shots of Alexa singing with their pops. All right.
Yeah, she calls them pops.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought I wanted to include that clip.
We call you soda pops. Yeah, there you go.
Would you like some pop? No, that's what we call it out here in the Midwest. Soda is twice as long to say, soda. So yeah, I've got a couple clips here. The next one's going to be the first Jeff Beck song they did, the People Get Ready. This was a picture Billy posted on Facebook, or had posted on his page. I just wanted to show that. So this next one's a little bit of Jeff Beck, rest in peace.
This is a recording he did with Rod Stewart called People Get Ready.
All you need is faith. You need a reason what's going on.
and Mr. Jeff Beck. The greatest guitarist of his time.
All right, so we talked about Crystal changing up the song that is in the middle of River Dreams. That's the next clip I got here. I think this might actually be from your YouTube channel, so I'm glad you gave me permission to use it. But this is Crystal singing, is the whole name Deep River, or River Deep, Mountain High?
Mountain High.
All right. Moving on then, later in the show, well, it was the end, for end, after You May Be Right. They stuck around, started jamming a little more, and they did another song by Jeff Beck. They did Going Down. And so let's give that a listen. Did you know these songs before, Eric, or no?
I've listened to them, definitely. You know, those songs, as soon as they started playing it, like I picked up on it, and he was playing homage to Jeff again.
So this was the actual end of the concert, and then people got to go after this. And then the next clip we got almost done here. For Big Shot, he had Alexa come out again and was the special performer for the night. So here's Alexa Ray Joel singing Big Shot.
Alexa, come on up. She's right on time, okay. Go ahead.
want to finish up the show here with something a little special. You got to go with your family. So it was your wife and your son, Ethan? And
yeah,
you guys...
actually, it wasn't my full family. So my other son, I only had 3 tickets to the show.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do because I couldn't take both sons. I couldn't figure out what to do. And I promised my son, Ethan really loves Billy. And I wanted,
oh, good.
My other son loves Billy too, but like Ethan loves him. And last time I took both boys together, the 2 of them were fighting a lot and stuff. They're always fighting. So like my wife and I decided, let's take them separately. So my other son stayed back. It was some friends, and my older son, I took him, and I'm going to take my younger son at another show in the future, just him, and actually it's just going to be me and him because he just wants to go with me alone, so it'll just be and him. But I went with my older, who loves Billy. He plays piano. He's been playing for a few years now, and
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he loves it.
You got to show him Steve Lundgren's YouTube channel with the tutorials on Billy's songs. That's how I learned how to play a bunch. It's really good tutorials. Steve Lundgren. Peace.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So here's a picture of you guys.
You,
Ethan, and Mike from. I'm guessing it's before the show. I just wanted to show that shot.
What'd you say?
Oh, I was showing a picture of you guys meeting Mike before the show.
Yep. So we met Mike, and I'll send you a picture. Actually, my son, who's 14 now, who went to the show, first met Mike a little over 14 years ago. My son was only a few months old. He was preemie, and we took him home from the NICU. He was home for a couple of months, and so he was really small. And Mike and Big Shot were playing over in Somerville, New Jersey, at Somerset County Park or Somerville Park. I don't know, one of the parks out there, some fair or whatever they had. They had a band shell out there. So my wife and I went. We weren't up at front. My son with the loud noise, and we had the things covering his ears and stuff. But we had him in like one of those baby, what do they call it? The strollers
buggy?
With the car seat. It's like a car seat stroller. So he was in like the car seat in the stroller, and we put padding around his ears, and we were far back so it wasn't blasting. Because people were like, you brought your baby to it was outdoors, and we were far back. So
did you have to buy a separate ticket for the baby?
No, it was a free concert. It was like a town concert out in the town park. And, just people were lounging out on their chairs on a lawn, this big, great field or whatever. Mike was playing in his band shell with his band. And so after the show was over, I went up, strolled my son up and, said hello to Mike. I've been seeing him since 2005. And I said hello to him, and I brought Ethan, and I took a picture with Ethan holding him up next to the stage. Mike was like smiling. So I'll send you that picture. So he first met him. He was only a couple of months old, and now he met him again. He's 14, and then we saw the show, and wow, Ethan was floored. He was literally just singing every line, dancing, enjoying the whole show. He was excited. He reminded me of me. In my early days when I, first got, the closest I got to something and saw Billy, it was just nuts, and that was him. And when he got up there, it was just the expression on his face was priceless.
Oh, awesome. Well, speaking of which, you posted a clip of him singing along to Only the Good Die Young. So let's take a look at that just to finish our show up here.
Oh,
All right. So that was Ethan singing along with the band and Billy on Only the Good Die Young. And then the concert ended. He got a little something extra. Looks like Ethan got to shake hands with the man.
He was excited.
That's an awesome picture. Look at that. That's great. And you can see the band in the background, too. All right. Well, that kind of brings our show to an end. Everything I've got for this time actually went a little longer than I thought. So you had a lot of good stories there, Eric. Thanks a lot. Did you have fun? Want to do this again sometime?
Sure. But let's not talk about, we'll talk about other things.
Sounds good.
My life is boring.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight, Eric. We'll talk to you later, all right?
All right. You have a good one, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks, you too. See ya. And remember, you haven't heard Billy Joel till you've heard Billy Joel completely retold. See you next time.